Remember, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Hello everybody, this is B Harper from supermarcy.com, and I'm here to talk to you about one of the films that truly spoke to me, For Vendetta. In case you're wondering why I'm wearing this mask beyond the fact it's a measured improvement to my face, well, it's just simply because I couldn't find a Guy Fawkes mask, and I just want to have some sort of fun little theme to go with the video. If you like it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't care. But look, so right out the gate, For Vendetta is not what you'd call a seminal, fantastic movie. It's good, it is solid, but it's not one of the films that will, embark on a journey to be a classic. It is for a variety of reasons why that's so. For one thing, it's adapted from a graphic novel by a very outdated author, if you ask me, Alan Moore, and his matchingly outdated ideas. I mean, seriously, Alan Moore is a tool. If you don't know what I'm referring to, read up on the guy. He's a piece of work, and that's being quite charitable about it. But here's the thing, from a very, very personal standpoint, For Vendetta spoke to me. It's one of those films that somebody could see in their lifetime, and when they watch it, when they take it in, and when they remember it for years to come, that's when you know a film is truly effective. I know friends who love The Evil Dead, who love Fight Club, who love a great variety of movies because it spoke to them. It spoke to them on a very personal level. It resonated in their minds, and how they chose to live their lives and how they chose to perceive the world around them. It's amazing what a film can do, and For Vendetta for me is no exception. I've always had this mindset that you cannot feel freedom until you have truly experienced fear. In the film For Vendetta, and this is spoilers by the way, there's going to be spoilers, the character of Evie, played by Natalie Portman, is incarcerated, and she is being captured because she knows the whereabouts of V, played by Hugo Weaving. At first, she is absolutely frightened. She is terrified because she has lived in a very totalitarian society, overrun by a dictatorship. The dictatorship is very paranoid, it is hugely fascist, and it is completely unpleasant for you if you are not straight or white. Simple as that. So Evie undergoes a lot of torture and a lot of misery. But throughout her imprisonment, she finds herself connected to a cellmate who writes to her life story. And when Evie reads this and she becomes familiar with her cellmate's life, she starts to find a strength within herself. And finally, when an inquisitor asks her for one last time to give away the position of V, she refuses. She says, "I want you to take me out the back and shoot me behind the chemical shed." She's reached that point of which she's no longer afraid to face her death. And death is a very normal anxiety all of us have. It is a common fear, if you will. Whether or not it is death that we are truly afraid of is left up to interpretation, because to me, death isn't scary. It's the means of which you will die that terrifies me. Or terrifies you. Either way. So when Evie reaches that state of mind, she is transcended. She has become something else. She is beyond the fear that she first started with. And when she is freed from the prison, she realizes that she has essentially let go of the life she lived she is no longer Evie Hammond. She is a free being who just absolutely goes beyond the human convention, who's so beyond fear. She has reached a very calm, confident, very neutral state of mind, that she no longer feels fear. And going back to how I feel, freedom is something that is very, very subjective. Ideally, freedom doesn't just mean freedom for you to do what you choose, but also the freedom that we can feel as a collective. I feel freedom allows us to let go of our hatred and our fear and become accepting. That sounds very attractive in theory, but as with any sort of sociological model, like be it, say, communism seemed incredible on paper. In theory, just the thought that every person is equal. We work to our capacity and we earn to our capacity, and everybody gets a free chance. But the thing is with theory is that it is not a human being. Sure, there are human beings behind its initial creation, but when this idea becomes a reality and when people start to practice it, it's a very complicated thing, to say the least. Because a theory doesn't truly take into account human nature. And that's what V for Vendetta is sort of looking at. That human nature is what truly influences how the world and its people work. It's not a terribly psychological film, like, in an academic fashion. I mean, there's a lot of really good ideas here. But essentially, V for Vendetta is an idealized view about what freedom could be. And in a sense, like V's vision of total equality and egalitarian society, that seems fantastic on paper too, but just like communism, just like every other sort of dictatorship you can think of, while it came from noble roots, it transformed into a different beast completely. And V's plan could have become very much like that. Who knows? In the original graphic novel, V was not fighting for freedom. He was an anarchist. In the graphic novel, the government was fascist, and he was an anarchist. And if you're familiar with anarchy, anarchy is basically, toppling over the big man, toppling over society and allowing, everybody else to, run free. Now, that's a very dangerous endeavor, because much as we like to fantasize about, flipping the bird to the man, that there's got to be a sense of order and balance. And if you ask me, freedom can only be achieved if we are able, as a collective, to cast aside our presumptions and our fears and our uncertainties of each other and of ourselves. Because if we don't put those things aside, the idea of freedom, or freedomism, if you want to call it that, just for a bit of a reference for you, freedomism could become another dictatorship. It could become another fascism. It's as I said, with human nature is very unpredictable. It's predictable, but it's also unpredictable because every single generation can be different. Every single man, woman, and child has their own mindset and their own aspirations. And there's only so far that we can be, shall we say, assimilated by the society we live in. Going back to V for Vendetta, like I said, it's not a perfect film, but it is a film that made me think. It is a film that spoke to me on a very intimate level, because I always had a belief that you cannot feel, freedom and a sense of, enlightenment until you have, been down in the dirt and in the gutter. Now, truth be told, I haven't been to that point yet. Ideally may it never. But just going from the philosophy in the film and how it relates to, this belief that I've had, it is something that truly stuck with me. Now, going to the film itself, well, in general, it is a good film. It's a film that I go back and revisit, on a whim, because I really, really like it. Hugo Weaving is phenomenal. Like, just think, that is his voice, controlling this character. The character of V, as he says, is an idea. He is a grand plan. You may kill him as a man, but you cannot kill what he truly stands for. And the character of Evie is like is the opposite to that. She becomes his ally, and there is like a sense that she wants to be romantically involved with him, but at the same time, she is what V could have been if he did not embark on that very personal, vengeance trip. So that's probably why V took a special liking to her, because he could see what he could have become. He could see that balance and that hope for the future. And despite the ambiguity of the ending, I mean, we never see what becomes of V's revolution ultimately. We just see all these people coming together and, watching as Parliament is burnt down. But with that ambiguity, you get a sense of hope as well. Nothing is definite. So you can either say, perhaps it descended into total anarchy, or perhaps it became something better. Perhaps the totalitarian government would have been overthrown and replaced by a lot more sensible individuals. Who knows? Like, the film is very sort of loose in its ultimate goal, but in terms of ideas and philosophies and that sort of thing, it is far more effective than you'd think. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do. And those of you who have seen it and haven't seen it in a long time, I suggest going back and watching it again, because there is a lot of good stuff in there. It really makes you think. It really makes you consider, what life could be, what you could be, what we could be. So, yeah, the possibilities for humanity are endless, but we have to make sure that we don't end each other first. and that's easy said than done, but you know what? I think we can do it. It may not happen in our generation, but I find it impossible to believe that we are on one path, like, all the way. I think there is hope for us. But this is something that we have to, engineer ourselves, because there's no Deus Ex Machina out there. Or if there is, we haven't seen it. Who knows? Ultimately, it is up to us. Should we do a revolution? Well, that's the thing about revolutions, is that they can be powerful things, but they can be incredibly destructive, again, with human nature engineering it. So, after that admittedly multi-directional ramble, that's my little talk on V for Vendetta, and once again, it is a film that severely got into me. And it's not often that I feel like that with a movie. I like lots and lots of movies, but none of them, well, not a lot of them have really reached into my heart and deep into my brain and made me think and made me consider the possibilities. So yes, that's my little retrospective, and hopefully I will get to see you all again, and hopefully my brain will be in order. What did I just say? Okay guys, you have a good one. Mwah. See you later.